Great to be with you. Thanks so much for joining us. And as we begin our discussion, you are a psychiatrist, and I'd love for you to share with us what does a psychiatrist do?
Thanks, Peter. Thanks for the question and thanks for having me. Well, I'm a medical doctor and I specialize in treating mental health conditions. So day-to-day work for me is usually working with more severe mental health conditions. And that's like where I see a lot of suffering and where I really try to help with the help of God so that patients can attain their best sort of functioning. And usually in that setting, I use medications. But, I also have a strong interest in promoting mental health and well-being for people with anxiety and depression.
Wow. Well, and that actually is something that you've been doing and offering to people, which is tremendous. You've run a few sessions called, I think they were called Emotional Wellbeing in Tough Times. That was the title of those sessions. And a number of people may have had the ability to join those. But for those of us who perhaps haven't been through that session with you, I'd love for you to share your top, say, 3 tips that you would share out of a session like that around emotional well-being in tough times. So what's the first tip you would share with people?
Well, Peter, one of the most striking things for me is that most people don't apply what they know. So most of us, and that includes me, we know what to do to promote well-being. We read about it and we know what to do. But so in the current COVID crisis with the social distancing, we sort of know, exercise and stay healthy and all that is important. But do we really apply what we know? And that's, for me, is one of the most important things. So establishing habits and healthy behavior is not easy. And I have a strategy that I can share. So let's consider you have a habit like you want to exercise. Instead of just thinking about it, say something specific like this. Tonight at 5 p.m., I'm going to put on my walking shoes and walk in the park. Afterwards, my reward will be a cup of tea or something similar. So during the day, set aside time to put together your walking gear so that's easy to start the activity. And you can use this strategy to start many new behaviors. The main thing is to plan it and to set a trigger for it and a reward so that you sort of develop a craving for it during the day. And always make the start as easy as possible by preparing for the start. So once you start doing your new habit, it's also helpful to note how often you do it. So exercise, you can track with an exercise tracker or activity tracker, while for other activities, you might use a diary. So that's sort of a tip that I have for people to establish a new habit or to do something with the knowledge that they have.
Oh, that's really helpful. Thank you. So just so that I've got that in my head, so I don't just think about it, but you've actually got to have a specific thing like tonight at 5 o'clock and then pre-prepare. And so you've got an easy trigger, everything's set up. And then I like that idea of a reward, whether it's a cup of tea or I don't know if it's okay to have just a little bit of chocolate as a reward for my walk, but I get the principle.
That sounds good. That sounds good.
What other tips have you got? Maybe 2 more tips for us.
Well, I've got a little bit of an exercise that people can consider for the next week. So I would like you to consider and take some time out in the evening or early morning, perhaps when you do your Bible study or some other time. But during this time, I would like you to consider to do 2 things. Reflect on the day and 1, savor an enjoyable moment that you had. Perhaps it was that walk in the park. So replay the moment and savor it with images, sounds, or smells. You can even do it if you struggle to fall asleep at night. Just replay the images, not necessarily the full thing because it might keep you awake. The second thing that I would like you to do as part of the savoring exercise is just to list 5 things that you're grateful for. Like the hug you got from your child this morning, the 5 minutes of silence when you had a cup of tea on your own, maybe people you know, and so on. So just do this for 1 week. It works best if you're able to write it down, and you may consider perhaps writing it down in a diary, but just replaying it in that moment, in the evening or in the early morning. So savor that moment, list 5 things that you're grateful for, and see how it goes. There's really good research to show if you do this, your happiness can grow by about 30%.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Well, Frans, that's been wonderfully helpful to have those ideas for emotional well-being in a tough time. And thank you so much for joining us. Now, people might have some questions, and I'd love for people to be able to send those to you. We talked earlier and you said you're open to that. So I'm going to encourage people to send any questions they've got into info@careychurch.asn.au, and we'll be able to forward those on to you. And so, look, thank you so much again for your time and your availability. It's great to see you on Zoom, and no doubt in the chat column, as people are watching this online, there will also be some thoughts and comments. So I hope you're able to join us too as we have our service together. But Frans Hugo, thank you so much for your time.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.